Hello, and welcome to the Game Plan. I'm Isaac Kroom, alongside my co-host Jacob Hedges and Braxton Miller. Today on deck, we're going to be talking about the Mookie Betts trade to the Dodgers and how that will have an impact on both the Red Sox and the Dodgers as organizations. We'll also have a very detailed look into Morehead State's very own cheerleading program and how they prepare for competitions. It's all being discussed right here on the Game Plan. Earlier last week, the Red Sox made a very questionable move to trade away their top player in Mookie Betts to the Dodgers. How will this trade affect the MLB moving forward?
Well, all right, guys. I was a Red Sox fan from the time Manny Ramirez joined from Cleveland Indians. I think getting rid of Mookie Betts is a huge blow not only to the organization but to the fans, because that was the fan favorite without a doubt. And you're going to have someone come back in that's going to step up in his absence. But from what I can tell and from what I've gathered in my information and research is that there's a lot more going on behind closed doors than what we're led to believe as the public and spectators.
Yeah, the trade was mostly made as a financial move. I mean, because having him along with Price on the team, they was going to have to pay a huge luxury tax, and it's just better for them moving forward. But Mookie Betts he's one of the best players in the league, hands down. I mean, you can't argue that. No. And he's definitely going to make the Dodgers they're a World Series contender. I mean, coming from last year, already had a great team. Adding him, yeah, they'll definitely be in the run for it.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at this Dodgers roster; it's like an all-star team almost. It's just nuts to think about them maybe not making the World Series. I think anything less than that would just be a blow-up of a season. But I like what both of you all said. I think it is a financial thing. Absolutely, they can't afford both Betts and Ramirez, who are both going to be free agents. But also, I think there's some inner workings inside of there going on with Mookie Betts, and they weren't really meshing along. The front office and Mookie Betts were having some issues determining a contract. So I think this was definitely just the best move Boston could have made. Obviously, it sucks to give away somebody like that, but you have to trade. You have to cut your losses sometimes, and the fact that they get more than just a draft pick from him going to free agency is a win for the front office of the Red Sox, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Agree, yeah.
This week, Ben Hall talked with head coach of the cheerleading team, Mark Coleman, to discuss how he prepares his team and what goes into picking a routine.
We train extremely hard for a long time to get their bodies and their minds mentally and physically prepared. We practice 2 times a day, 2 hours each, but sometimes the practices run over for about a month. Mm-hmm. And it starts as soon as finals are over and goes the entire Christmas break, and then even into the first week of the spring semester, and after in the new year, and then we go straight to nationals, and that is our main preparation as far as physically getting prepared for the routine. Mentally, we do a lot of training to the point of exhaustion, and also where they're having to perform these routines when they're tired. Something that I've always heard and I believe is being nervous affects your body physiologically in the same way as being fatigued. And so what I try to do is make my teams perform when they're tired, so that you can hope that they can replicate the same performance even when they're nervous. Our entire year is compressed into 5 minutes, literally. All the chips are on the table in finals, and so that's a tremendous amount of pressure, and we try to do everything that we can to prepare for them for that. As a coach, I try to get them out in front of a crowd and an audience. We do a lot of performances. That's something else that we do to prepare, but you can't really replicate that moment, that pressure. Every rep matters. So even from the beginning, from their first practice after we pick the team in tryouts, we try to impress upon them that every rep, every time they do something, has to be perfect. We're Morehead, and we have a standard that we live up to, and that standard is very high, and we are expected to be perfect. And perfection cannot be attained. If you watch any Morehead performance, and especially as a coach, there's always little things that you can go back and pick at, but we try to be as perfect as possible, and that really starts from day one. There's no cheerleading program that has as many national titles as we do, and so it's a tremendously special place, and it's pretty awesome to be a part of.
Last season, Cleveland Browns' Myles Garrett assaulted quarterback Mason Rudolph, but now there's rumors that a racial slur has escalated the situation. If true, who is really at fault?
Well, I got to be honest. I don't think the accusations against Mason Rudolph are true, because if he was to have used a racial slur initially, I think it would have came out the night of the assault. But definitely, Myles Garrett was in the wrong. I mean, you can't strike somebody with a helmet. This is professional football. You know, you got to be way more professional. But, you know, as far as that goes, if he did use a racial slur, he has complete right to be upset, you know. Yeah. But how he handled himself was the wrong way to go about it, for sure.
Absolutely. I'm not even going to discuss whether or not Mason Rudolph used that slur, because it's clear to everybody that he didn't. Mike Tomlin, the Pittsburgh head coach, came out and said that he talked with multiple people within the Browns organization, and he has close relationships with them. And none of them said anything about Mason Rudolph ever saying that. None of the linemen that were around Mason Rudolph, including some of his own linemen, who are also African American, said anything about that. So I just find I have a hard time believing that he used that racial slur. I think this is just a tactic by Myles Garrett to try to clear his name on what was a malicious attack by him. It's not going to fly with me. It's not going to fly with anybody in society, really. No. Now, if Mason Rudolph were to have used that word, absolutely, he is justified in what he did. Maybe not to that extent, but I could definitely understand him being upset. But definitely just a sad situation all around for Myles Garrett.
Well, and that's the thing. You mentioned some of these Pittsburgh higher-ups speaking about the situation. A lot of the Cleveland, the owner, the defensive coordinator, they all came out and said that Garrett did say that Rudolph said all this stuff to Garrett. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. Garrett's defense is, look in the video, look in the playback. You can see him say it in his mouth. I haven't personally done that time, but I'm under the opinion that if a racial slur was used, that Garrett was in his right to react the way he did. It might not have been the best way to react. But we're seeing people lose their jobs left and right for using a racial slur and not a context like that. Look at FC Cincinnati today. So, yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Cheerleading is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. And out of curiosity, I did decide to try my hand at it. And this is how it went.
Hi, this is Jacob Hedges from the Gamplan. Today we're going to be trying out for the MSU cheerleading squad, but if you ask me, I'm going to be a shoo-in. I shouldn't even have to try out. So, follow us. Should be a shoo-in.
A lot happened this past weekend in Chicago as they hosted this year's NBA All-Star Weekend. From the Rising Stars Challenge to the dunk contest, what were some of the biggest highlights this weekend?
Well, I mean, I think personally, my favorite part of the All-Star Weekend every year is the dunk contest. And I just want to go ahead and say on record, Aaron Gordon was robbed of yet another dunk contest. He had clearly the better dunks. I mean, don't get me wrong, Derrick Jones Jr., amazing athlete. But
on the show.
I think Aaron Gordon definitely should have won that contest. But I love the new format they have, the whole tribute to Kobe. I think it was just an awesome weekend, one of my favorites that I've seen so far.
I thought the biggest takeaway for me personally was just seeing how many alumni from the University of Kentucky made it out to the All-Star Weekend. I mean, there was 9 in total, 3 of them playing in the actual All-Star game, which was more than any other school had in the All-Star game. Kentucky had 3 of its former alumni. So I think that's really something to take away. And then, of course, seeing Anthony Davis score that final shot to win Team LeBron the game, it is nice. It was a nice little bit to see, you know.
Absolutely. I think my favorite part was just the All-Star game. See, I was really skeptical about the new format, how they had like individual games within the quarters, you know. But it turns out that I think it made it a lot more competitive. I mean, the players played a lot harder. It was a lot closer game than what I anticipated it would be. Plus the closing fourth quarter, you know, everybody was playing as hard as they could on defense. And just to end it off a free throw, which I think they should change that going forward.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be able to win off a free throw, but it was a good first year for the format. Definitely.
For sure.
This week, I sat down with Abby Stitt to talk about her role on the cheerleading team and her experience here at MSU.
I came to Moorhead to cheer. Like, everybody just knows, like, Moorhead cheer. Like, so it's just one of those things. And then I had 2 coaches at my all-star gym that were cheerleaders from Moorhead. They were on the co-ed team. So they just, like, always kind of talked about it. And then I just ended up coming here with them one time. And we have practices 3 days a week, like, during the regular season. And then workouts, they differ. Like, last semester they were also 3 days a week, but this semester they're 2 days a week because this is kind of like our off season. But during nationals we practice 2 times a day, twice a day, every day. Well, I've been cheering since I was 2, really. Started out in gymnastics, and they put me on a team, and gymnastics is a lot of work, so it was like I was only 5 when they put me on a team, and it was like a lot of practices, like a lot of days in the week. And then my sister was just born, so my mom was like, well, we'll switch to cheerleading, and then I just switched, and I've been doing it ever since. Just representing Moorhead, like, it's so much bigger than, like our program is so much bigger than yourself, and like you just don't understand it until, like, well, they always tell us, like, we still don't understand it, like, until you're gone and you can't do it anymore, because it's just like it really is so much bigger than you. It's like 2-a-days and nationals and all that is like you just bond so well with everybody else, and it's just like it's so fun.
All right, well, thank you for joining us here on The Game Plan. I'm Isaac Kroom alongside my co-hosts Braxton Miller and Jacob Hedges. We'll see you all next time.